Hey traders, Nick here, looking at Facebook. Pretty emotional ticker. Some people hate it, some people love it. I can tell you from first-hand experience that outside of the US, almost nobody cares about this privacy issues. I think it was a mistake to lynch them when that Cambridge Analytica happened, because they didn't do anything wrong. The only thing wrong they did is they didn't actually take the people who broke their own rules, that company, back then, and they didn't put them in the town square and say, you did wrong, you should die, type of a deal, and let everybody know about what happened. So since then they've been calling it a breach, data breach, and it's not, it's a breach of contract. So data breaches happen, and they're going to happen across the board. Here we are, Facebook did it, the impression is that they had millions and millions of breaches. Doesn't matter if it actually happened or didn't. That's the perception. But I think also they passed the perception along to all social media. So now the weight is no longer on their shoulders. The only way it comes back to them is with specific penalties from entities out there like the Eurozone, even the US. And even then, the effects are short-term. So this is the Facebook daily chart. I do have lines on there. I hid them a little bit. So it does have many bounces here and there, and it kind of follows the patterns that show up on the charts, and we may have something going on here. So fundamentally, I think this company is a monster. I say that because I don't use it really. I only use it to message a few people that are on it all the time, and that's the only way to reach them. But I have friends that actually advertise on it, and they can't talk good enough about it. They say that the reach it gives them is insane, and I know these people, they're sharks as far as marketing. So I know that it provides a value. It's not only in its Facebook platform, it's its reach across marketing in other places. So beyond my pay grade day, but I do take the word of the people that actually know better at it. So what's going on here? So let's mark it up a little bit and tell you what I'm seeing as far as opportunity. And when I say opportunity, I put this in the context that markets are going to be fine here. So we're not going to go to the 2600 the lower scenario that I think is doable. I think cooler heads will prevail, and the headlines will and markets will just meander. In which case, Facebook has a technical opportunity. So value-wise, it's not expensive. I think it's like 20 PE, maybe plus or minus 1 or 2, which is trailing. So it's not like an Amazon or even worse, some restaurant that sells over 100 PE. So it's legitimate. The only way to break it is to actually change the fundamentals of it, either break it up or whatever. So my assumption that valuation is not a chasm below. In other words, I'm not buying froth. Now back to the technicals. This is a daily. We can get smarter. We probably will at the end, but for here, I'm going to keep it a daily. This was a test, probably with the markets last week. A little better test, and here we are, a little friskier and coming to touch on a lower high. So what I'm seeing is a tightening of price action from this to almost pinpoint. So something has got to give, right? Either this scenario or that scenario. I'm favoring the upside scenario. Of course, it'll depend on the whole market in general, but my thesis is looking at the bonds. If bonds continue their rally, which is bad for stocks, which is bad for Facebook, it changes the game for the macro. And I don't think we're ready to change the game. So that's why I'm assuming up. Yes, bonds are in a breakout and they should go higher, but my gut says they won't. And if I'm right about the bonds, then this scenario is more likely than not. So if I look left, it's not just these two ticks. It's this set of fighting right here. So up until here, this was resistance. So you're saying, oh, okay, just one time. No, not really. This counts as one to me. This was pressure, downside pressure, anywhere near this, right? So let's continue left. Look at what ledge that was. That's exactly the same level as here, and that was a big ledge, big breakdown. It took a long time to come to it, and they did a cup and handle, and this should have been a given, and look what we did, right? So this cup and handle played out. I'm going to re-erase it so we can speak to what I'm talking about now. Okay, so this ledge, when I looked left, there was a big breakdown. It took them a long time to get back to it. So they have the benefit of fighting it out, bulls and bear, fighting it out with headlines, without headlines. Now they have a good base here. So this is a ledge that's pretty important. And so it should be support because it was resistance and they broke above it. So now it should be support. So that's why my assumption that, okay, the bulls may have something to work with. You know, they broke over it. They can't continue higher without bouncing on it and saying, okay, is this good support? Okay. So right here is probably the other next test. And look how close together they are. I mean, right here is right there. So again, this is pretty tight. Something's going to happen. And look at the gap above. Not every gap gets filled, but this is massive. So big question mark there. That's the opportunity. So if I wanted to say this again, I think, let me see if I can do it again without any marks and be it fresh. Okay, so I think Facebook has an opportunity and it's technical. And why do I think that? Higher lows, lower highs coming to a point. And that point is pretty important from the standpoint of support versus resistance. And this support and resistance goes back until last August-ish with a big carrot above. So what if something goes wrong? It's going to fall into a point of control, which is even stronger support. So if it fails here and this comes down. So in other words, my downside is somewhat limited for the long term. So if I buy the shares right now, how can I go long? I can buy the shares and hope for better prices. And that puts me at risk right here, right now. But if my thesis for Facebook long term is up, and it is, then I'm okay turning this trade into an investment. The difference is obviously you know about. So the other way of going long is to use calls or call spreads. And for that, I'll probably go to September. Definitely not short term because I want to capture some time so I don't have to sweat the small stuff. I don't want to bail out on the first red tick. I want to have some conviction. Plus I can make it into a calendar, all kinds of options. Now the other way, the third way I can go long is using also options by selling puts or put spreads. 170 looks pretty strong to me, but all depends on personal preference. Some people want to own the shares at 170, so I would sell a naked put at 170. However, I need to know that if it goes through 170, and it could, look at these, I'm forced to buy it at 170. So I only sell naked puts if I'm willing and able to buy it at that price. I can go out to end of the year and sell puts down here and create, but that's a completely different opportunity. The opportunity here, tight, getting tighter, coming to a point, something's got to give. Boom, or die. So that's the opportunity here in Facebook. So it's a tight range, a range getting tighter, and something's got to give. So let's see if I can come down to a 2-hour candle to see if I can get smarter. Same concept. It's just tight range. Something's got to give. Today, Tuesday, after Memorial Day, markets are kind of all over the place, so I have no idea what they're going to do. This is about the time of year where we have like big whooshes down on gap downs for some reason, big money rolling contracts or something like that. I'm not sure about that, but I would pay attention to, hey, maybe I can get smarter with my drawings here. So this would be the way I would draw it more accurately, I guess. You know, kind of whacked out the whole thing, but you know what I mean. So Facebook is an opportunity technically, but it has meat behind it, meaning the story of Facebook is pretty darn good. Everybody complains about it. They're looking for the management to do the perfect thing. There is no perfect thing. Just leave them alone. Outside of the U.S., almost no one cares. You know, all my friends outside the U.S., and I have friends all over the world and family, they really don't care. All this issue is here. So 5 billion users, let's say 200 million, 300 million are here. The rest don't care. Yes, advertisers are here, but in the end, advertisers are serving the clients, and the clients really don't care. All right, Nick signing out. If you have any questions, let me know.